And we're just going to check and wait for people to show up. All right. Okay, it looks like we're live. I am going to just quickly introduce our little live here. Good afternoon, everyone who is joining us. I'm Martha Herdendorf, the marketing coordinator at Top Floor, and welcome to our Facebook Live event, which we have decided to call The Hot Dish in Digital. And that will be what we call these segments going forward. Our aim is to talk about hot topics in the digital marketing industry. We'll be breaking down everything you need to know about updates with our favorite powerhouses like Google, LinkedIn, and more. And today we have Anne and Emily from our team, who are both experts in all things digital marketing. They will be breaking down and talking about some of the recent changes you may have seen in the Google My Business listings pages. And some of them are in response to the pandemic. Some of them are just updates that they've made. So that's what we'll be covering today. So, hey girls, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. Yeah, let's get started. Let's talk everything Google My Business, all the recent changes. I know they've done a few things kind of in response to what's happening with the pandemic and COVID and everything. And I think a lot of the updates they've made have been really positive. So Emily, you know a little bit more about that stuff. Do you want to kind of dive into what's going on?
Yeah. I think they've definitely been really busy. So more recently, they announced 9 new updates to the Google My Business profile. So some of these obviously play more into COVID and everything. It does seem like they're really going to be sticking around for a while. So definitely important to keep up with them. But I'll just kind of dive into a few of them. One of the biggest ones was local service attributes. So a couple of these have been like more visual elements. I think one of the things we noticed right away were like small icons that have red X's or green check marks for different services. So obviously for restaurants, a big one that people have for sure probably seen is if they're doing takeout or delivery, curbside pickup, and things like that.
That has been so helpful to me, just knowing I can Google the restaurant we're thinking about going to and knowing what they're offering. I'm sure you guys have seen that too.
Yeah. So are they expanding to that list, or do you know what some of the additional attributes will be?
Yeah, so they were very hush-hush about the details. I tried to see if there was anything else out there that anyone else reported about more specifically about those, because Google themselves, when they kind of did their press release or whatever, they did say that they expect to evolve those so it's applicable to more industries than restaurants and retail. So I'd be really interested to see what that will entail kind of down the line.
Cool.
But yeah. And then another big one too, kind of going into the local service attributes as well. You can now list secondary hours, which is actually really surprising that they didn't have the capability before the pandemic. I think a few things that I've read, people obviously, that was something that they wanted, was to be able to list other hours of service or unique hours. And I know I've done this many times where I've looked up a place because I'm like, oh, are they open at this time? Or even gotten caught going somewhere and being like, oh, they're not actually open right now. So, what else do we have? Another big one too was as far as call volume kind of thing. They're now letting users put information about if they're currently experiencing a high call volume or a lower call volume if they're really busy, or maybe not so busy, which is kind of nice too, because I think people usually searching, especially for services, or even too if it's an emergency, maybe like something on your house, you need a quick repair or something like that. I think people usually really want to find the quickest services they can, and especially just having that instant gratification of knowing, can I get help right away? How long will it take? What can I expect? And that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another big one too, which was kind of surprising, Google. So now if you have a chain that has more than 10 locations, you can post updates to all of those, which was kind of surprising that you couldn't do that before.
I agree. When I was reading your blog and I saw that, I was like, it's really surprising that you couldn't do that all at once previously. But I know of a couple of examples, even with this pandemic, where we had to update hours or share like a COVID related post on every single individual Google listing for clients that might have, upwards of 30 different locations. So that definitely cuts down the time, which is nice.
Right. Yeah, that was probably very stressful before trying to manage all of that. But yeah, so that's kind of a cool thing. And it's kind of cool too, because no matter if you're posting just a general business update, or you can also include, like, obviously events aren't really popular right now, but you can include things like events or sales and special offers, which is also really helpful for managing multiple locations and things like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think those were the big ones, the main ones. Really, they've just done a lot to give business owners the ability to provide even more information. And it's really a win-win for both the owners and users, because they're always looking for the quickest way to get information. So it's just really for them about the instant gratification more so, I guess. But yeah, it's really just a win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah, Google's so much about user experience improvements, and I feel like you said, both on the business side of things and the end user, these are really nice improvements to have, I think. Did we get any questions or comments so far on Facebook?
I don't see any coming in, but anybody that is attending right now, if you have any questions, feel free to just comment, and we're keeping an eye on those, and we'll answer as we go along too.
Are there any specific attributes that you are most excited about, Emily, or that, like, I guess if you had to pick one that you think you'll use the most or benefit from the most, which one would you pick?
I like the service icons. They're really eye-catching, and I think that's the quickest way to like find what you're looking for. I use them a lot if I'm trying to look up something, and especially too if it's maybe a new place that you're not super like familiar with. Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite, and I'm excited to see like what more kind of happens with those icons as far as like new additions go, or like we touched on other industries. So that'll be kind of cool to see where things go.
Yeah, I agree. Very cool. All right. Well, I can talk a little bit then about something else new with Google My Business, which is their new, I guess you could call it a subscription service. I know they tried something like this, I think, last year. I don't know too much about the details of that. But with this new subscription service, the main offering that they're making is that you can add the Google Guaranteed badge next to your Google My Business listing. So I know we're probably familiar with what that is, but for anyone watching who doesn't know, You would see these like typically now through a local service ad, so through Google Ads. So if you search for something like, I usually see it with like home improvement services, so like electrician near me or something of that nature. You'll see at the top of the Google search results page 3 ads with the Google guarantee badge next to it, and it's just this green check mark icon, and then it's just 3 local businesses near you. So that's the Google Guaranteed badge. So what this offering through the subscription service is basically to add on that badge to your local listing. So you don't have to go through Google Ads if you're not interested in that or aren't already doing it. This is a kind of workaround to getting that Google Guaranteed badge. And I think they are starting at $50 a month, which again is cheaper than probably what you would be paying through Google Ads. So that's exciting. As far as like what it really does, like what it means, basically Google, to become Google Guaranteed, you have to pass this like very rigorous background check. And actually, we tried this with the client a couple of years ago through the local services ads, and truthfully, it ended up feeling like a little bit more trouble than it was worth because it was really detailed, and we just weren't ready at the time to go through with that. So if it's something that you're interested in doing, just know that there's a lot you have to have prepared to kind of go through that background check. But then the outcome of it is Google will then basically reimburse, I think, up to $2,000 of any like dissatisfied customer. I think that's like the lifetime limit of it. So when you're Google Guaranteed, they're actually monetarily guaranteeing your service. So if there was an unhappy customer or something of that nature, they'll actually help support you in that, which is kind of cool. So as far as like what the perks are, I think, of having it on your local listing, I haven't really seen this yet. I mean, it's still very new. I think they announced this last month still. So I haven't seen any businesses with this check mark so far. But it'll be interesting to see if it does have any sort of impact on like your Google listing, your Google ranking. I think for sure, like visually, it'll help you to stand out and just kind of back to those icons you had mentioned, just sort of, I don't know, stand out a little bit more to users. So I think that could be a benefit. I'm guessing it will have a positive impact on rankings as well, but we'll just kind of see what happens with that. But this is like, I think the only thing they're really offering so far with this new subscription service. But some people are speculating that there could be more that is added onto this. So for instance, they might end up doing something sort of similar to what Yelp does, where everyone gets a free business listing, but then you can like a la carte pick different features that you want to pay for. So I think like additional call to actions are some. Can't remember all of the different ones they have, but they're speculating that Google might end up doing something similar. So maybe this is sort of a trial run to see if people use it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think I'm going to probably wait to see if it works well for other people before I go recommending it to clients, but it's kind of a cool new attribute. So
Yeah, it is really cool. I feel like after I was looking at your blog, I just wanted to do searching and see if I could find anyone that has the badge. Now I'm going to be on the lookout for it. But yeah, I'm wondering, sometimes, you know, how when there's a bunch of updates all at once, sometimes all of a sudden, like you didn't notice it before, but then it'll just kind of explode. So I wonder if this one will be more of like a slow visibility, or if like right away we might start seeing it online. But
yeah, I'm interested to see that too. And if, you know, there are a few that kind of pave the way and start including this, then what will happen with competition? Will it become kind of like commonplace to have this? Hopefully they've adjusted their kind of background check so it's a little bit easier to pass, because I think that's going to end up being people's biggest hang up with this. We'll see. That's just what
Yeah.
it was like a couple years ago. So maybe it's changed since then.
Yeah, right. I think were there some other pieces too to besides like the background check to the verifications? I think I saw in your blog too there was something about maybe a proof of your insurance or verification there too.
Yeah, that's pretty much all included in like the background checks. So yeah, verification of your business, and you have to hand over, I'm sure, like tax documents, and I think even social security for like the owner or something like that was in there. So it's very, very detailed. But yeah, I think the one benefit of trying to add it now is that you don't have to be a Google Ads customer. So I think that process is much easier, especially for local businesses who maybe aren't comfortable diving into Google Ads yet, or don't, know what to do or what the best strategy is. I think that this is a really good alternative, and also cheaper with $50 a month versus probably paying upwards of $200 for ads.
Right. Yeah, and especially kind of not knowing how it might go, and I guess we don't really know like the impacts yet, but maybe there will be certain services or industries that it will be more beneficial for than others. I guess we'll just be kind of stay tuned.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll be similar to like, I know local services ads, from what I have seen so far, it seems like there's certain industries that have taken more advantage of it than others. So I wonder if that will be similar here. Like I said, I see a lot more like home improvement types of services showing up for the local services ads in that Google guaranteed top row than I do other things. So who knows? I think that'll be interesting to look for.
Yeah, for sure.
Any questions on
Anything
these?
else? There was one question. Does the Google Guarantee Badge help improve rankings for businesses that do have one?
I think that's the goal. And it's so new still that, like we said, I haven't really personally seen it used yet, but I could only imagine that does give you a boost in Google's eyes. I think they see you as credible then if you're Google guaranteed. So I would imagine that, yes, it does help your rankings. So I think the answer to that is yes, but we'll wait and see like who uses this and how it works.
Cool. I don't see any other questions. So, I mean, that is we're very near to the end of our time. I don't know, do you guys have any closing thoughts?
I think it's just cool to see all of these new ways we can take advantage of Google My Business. I think the more information you have and the more details you can place there, the better. That does help with your rankings, definitely. So to see these new features that both help you as a business and then also are beneficial to your customers who need that information in order to make their decisions, I think is really cool to see. So
Yeah, and especially locally, because if you are, if you don't necessarily stay up to date with your Google My Business profile, or maybe you don't take full advantage of all the features that you can fill out and you can show on your profile, especially with local competition, it's likely that you can easily just lose out to a customer who's just looking for quick information, and things like that. And if you don't have the information in those details, they'll likely go somewhere else. So definitely, in terms of local competition and things like that, it's really beneficial for the business owners.
I totally agree.
Cool. Hey, ladies. Well, thank you so much for your expertise. And if anybody has additional questions, please feel free to reach out. We'll probably post a recording to this on our social channels early next week. But in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed our first episode of The Hot Dish, and will join us again next time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.